One-horse town. If this is a one-horse town, full well you know it. Love published in glossy Red Rock tourist brochures, tours, calendars, and almanacs. What permits the truth in lieu of chaste vortexes pirouetting in spirals everywhere around? Outside a dreary wasteland of hotel windows, placards and posters herald the news. The end of the world may be near, maybe here. Knowing the riddles of the universe at premium discount prices, the kingdom of Pan, pruning shears. Are Shaker chairs considered contraband? Strolling across the park in a wide-brimmed hat, reviling innocence, your boxer dog, your bulldog, your cat, your ocelot, your reverence for holding court with building codes. Everything serves to protect against self-reliance, reviling the laws of gravity and innocence, insouciant, insistent. This is a one-horse town. Full well you know it. The Emperor's fear of falling. Where has he gone? Where is the man of the house? I mean, where has he gone? How can I shelter him from a fear of falling? Though my arms cannot but fail to catch his eye, love cannot appease the storms of old age. I sigh. From my side, how beautiful love appears. What is it about my story no longer appealing to any kind of psyche? I feel trapped inside an oval mirror, housing a cage of wrens. Already silent and shut down, they're twittering. What if the Emperor allows his wrens will never dance again? Loosening the silver sash, an emperor waits and takes his chances. At last, when like the crescent moon, swallows slip from the eaves of an abandoned barn, it's then I will tell you what I think. Knowing I have lived just long enough recalls an image of a shuddering fawn trapped in a snowfall. Minnows falter within wisdom's greening ponds, having no mother, no father, no sons, no daughters, no family. Beyond the sanctity of this life, what is there left? What is there left but a galaxy of ponies on the mountain? I have emptied my pockets of gold, and I have traded my pony for a hearse untold. The mean. I suspect the playoffs will reflect the mean. Rehearsing innocent verses, a wise woman weaving comely spells. An induced birth may then shatter a reluctant queen. Witnessing trappings of a burlesque routine, how may wisdom's tale, in an ocean's ebb and flow, rescind or repeal the clamoring bell? I suspect the playoffs will reflect the mean. Whatever happened to Vlad, the imposter, the impaler? His breastplate was hammered, silvered, and serene, whose vast sacerdotal realms no one can afford to repel. Could any chieftain refuse a scantily clad Undine? As ill-timed defeat never envisioned by warrior-filled triremes, winners and losing alike suffer from battle-worn defeat until bell-tolled ill-fated. I suspect the playoffs will reflect the mean. No matter the length and cost of winding cloth, whose fragile coffin's length remains unseen, do you dare jump ship before your time and trounce the reluctant devil? Hunchbacked, those with clay feet fade before the retorts of the Red Queen. What seems to matter now matters less and less. When jury members are recused and then are reconvened, I suspect the playoffs will reflect the mean. Reverie. Anchored in cedar-colored afternoon light, have you learned to swim past the taut wires surrounding cucumber plants growing on this planet? If you have studied the art of belonging long enough, what of the new tomato plants? What of lush yellow and green squash jousting with lettuce plumes? Haven't you wondered long enough, coasting past the blue penitent knuckles of the moon, past new gardens, past priestly landscapes of deeply furrowed, dark terrain? Is anything in nature worth accosting? Why hoodwink pilgrims over the cost of robes, over the cost of roses? You who take delight in sweeping up potato parings drawn from the heat of battle, take heart. Be as one with those who stand apart among bunches of cilantro and overgrown nettle beds. Recall to mind the wandering lives of captive swallows exiled from archive of barns overnight. If you agree to circle a paper womb of moons sagging in an empty womb sky, be as a traveler idling in an alley, say that you are not you, nor I. If flowers are worn in ragged brown lapels, think of potato parings as idle alphabets in time of war, muted and moored in hidden caves of unknown alphabets, outscored. When blossoming in a curious way during autumn's russet hushing, curtailed in a sudden dark fist of light among wrinkled leaves, sparring among stark tendrils in the light, know this, my love for you, that will never die. Will never die. How delicate the first days of spring, Queen Anne's lace dotting a meadow among traces of burdock and birch. How war-torn and weary we are at this time of year, when Indians, citizenless and stateless, remain still undiscovered in the American clime, were frog-marched in public squares in London, were sold off in batches in the way of trumpeter swans today, auctioned off only because one by one, measured in the symphony of high-performance ratings, they gave credence to a lack of voice, an impractical kind of know-how that was religion. demonstrating the art of takeoff and landing and just plain flying into engine turbines, where they too sang far too loudly, matching wing beat against wing beat in ligament and sinew, torn from ragged silos, sobbing in the wake of being far too lonely to make their life soul's mistake. Old John. You heard the story of Old John, how he fell down an elevator shaft? Afterwards, everyone who remembered the incident wondered how good the practice of poetry was in an old man who wore a fedora and developed a hacking cough. At the time when he used to bet so freely on the dogs, at the time when he used to frequent the racetracks at Limerick and at Tralee and at Letterfrack, as good as a few more other places, whose names I don't rightly recall, whole neighborhoods might have gone up in smoke, except for Old John. He ended up hiring gardeners to trim hedges and thatch their rooftops, rotting with swatches of mildewed mulch. On account of those winning streaks, Old John's dogs got to be known as diamond-studded lucky widows, as celebrants of a fleeting dream, displaying the curse of poverty's purse, as dress rehearsals in anticipation of a final hearse where invisible dogs would howl at the loss of such a visionary man, but a visionary man on crutches nonetheless, who bet the lucky numbers on the dogs. Jousting among poets. Writers often spill ink on pristine tablecloths. The imprecise measurement of poets' clothes, more precise than what you may think of. Don't you think flatulence an allowable excuse when, on occasion, soup and anchovies spill at the scene of a mythopoetic type of tryst? Indeed, some poets will confess roadkill, such as porcupine quills, will later weave a basket of trembling remorse. How fill a landfill with uneasy smoke? But when a cat arrives spilling the contents of a tureen, here for poets the furtive aside for those who pride themselves on a spate of spilled milk and unrehearsed words. Empty nest. We don't know how to say goodbye. A hummingbird drops out of sight, delivers nectar to a hungry brood. Why allude to Orpheus and his lute? Nothing makes you shiver like this rude music. Did you know a ruthless tyrant never looks back upon the alembic of his life? humanity's unblossoming way. A dozen sailors turn away from the shore. No migrants wanted here. Razor wire, placards. The migrants sit and wait. Boundaries spark a frozen battle. No place to go, not a good beginning for a child. Who wanted peace? I thought that's why they fled the war. War continues like a canker sore on foreign soil. Oceans roar. What of the score of travelers? Hearts souring. Lost souls trapped in a downpour of rain. Infamous the cry of a child before the dark bohemian glass of boundaries broken between sleep and waking, dreaming and dream. What makes the inhuman face so human? When will humanity loose its stranglehold on freedom and scream and scream and scream? Thief of time, kindred flames from a tinderbox, yet no one is here striking a match to ignite the culprit's flame. For love has always been love, and love divine the same, never properly stated, never properly stated. If a pauper, truly a pauper, a friend, not a friend, what of a miser or a brigand, or a fiendish relative, a thorn hiding among roses? If a thatch roof catch fire, then love remains forgotten, an inspired parthogenesis before the vacant tavern door. But is the vacant tavern still left standing? What of words unspoken in a misshapen tirade? What of cloudless terrain, where no one a winner or loser? The wisest sage then, why might not he remain totally silent again and again and again? Succulent fish fry, the art of poetic conversation. He said, "Fish fry is definitely on my schedule for tonight. I've jotted it down on my calendar. All right?" She said, "No fish fry. You can't cook on my hearth in my cabin. No fish fry. Something more lingers in the ethereal promise of life and a life beyond, an afterlife. Besides, the hearth is a sacred provenance of women and goddesses." He said, "But I went and I caught a wild salmon in the river." I remain anonymous as a fisherman in a park in summer. And you know, gossiping has brought us that much closer. Your tiny navel ring, glittering, cannot tear us apart. Belly dancing is not the only thing. You could also do a course in flower arranging. She said, "Salmon is one thing, fish fry another. Embers of the fire are but a dalliance for men of your caliber. So go play a tambourine on Mars." He said, "But the salmon is pink and succulent and fresh, and a true delight for everyone." She said, "Salmon is so succulent and sweet. Chickadees sing, but my cat is in heat." Running from Mr. Balanchine. Don't doubt me. Don't doubt the story I tell you. I ran from the practice room. The home team was sobbing now. The home team was cast in rodeo in a great barista scene. Was I born a rodeo queen or not? My heart hoodwinked into shame and a fear of hubris. Success accorded the divine feminine only Kuan Yin. Blame it on my mother, she always said. Too fat, too tall, too slim, too glamorous to dance. Bella Ferran's diminutive entrechat. Too quick to catch. I vow the art of deception beyond a shameless breaking of priestess vows. Blame it on salmon leaping into the unknown. Blame it in the way of some stone-faced heroine left alone, winging her way back to the finish line in a birch bark canoe, rotting into an underbrush belonging to the beaver lodges of the Algonquin. Blame it on his seamless Minerva's crown, caught adrift in illiterate water, drowning, drowning.